So, because we haven't talked about Pokemon Go enough as it is, this was definitely one of the stories that I saw this week. And just kind of to recap what I'd seen, I think everyone at this point has heard of. I don't know. I've heard conflicting reports. I don't know if it was a young girl, a teenage girl, or an adult woman who was walking around in her backyard and while playing Pokemon Go and found a dead body. Woohoo! There was also some guys who were basically going to a place where there are a lot of Pokestops and just waiting for people to come by with their phones, and then they would mug them. There was a story of two men who were walking along some bluffs in California and they fell off a cliff. They survived, luckily, but still, they fell off a cliff while looking at their phones. Whether or not you're playing Pokemon Go, that's pretty dumb.
Yeah. And remember before you start the game, it even tells you be aware of your surroundings.
Every time it boots up, the load screen is very clear. Like, hey, be aware of your surroundings. Turn this like we did. Turn the stupid AR camera off. It's gonna make the game a lot more enjoyable. And the thing is like if you're walking around with it, the way the game works, if you run into a Pokemon, your phone will vibrate to let you know, hey, there's a Pokemon that you can catch.
Yeah.
So
my phone's vibrated like 2 times while we've been going.
You don't have to have your eyes glued to the screen. So, but unfortunately with this story, it doesn't really have much to do with people not paying attention. It just has to do with people not using their heads, really. Now, in Washington, we have the Holocaust Museum, which, Rick, it's a memorial that apparently has 3 Pokestops. And according to Andrew Hollinger, who is the museum's communications director, he said, playing the game is not appropriate in the museum, which is a memorial to the victims of Nazism. We are trying to find out if we can get the museum excluded from the game, and apparently they can. According to the Pokemon Company, they said that Pokestops and gyms in Pokemon Go are found at publicly accessible places such as historical markers, public art installations, museums, and monuments. If you want to report inappropriate locations or content, please submit a ticket on the Pokemon Go support website. And I believe, they've already reached out to them and gotten that process started. So, but it's kind of like, this is basically like being on your phone during a movie, which you need to stop doing that. I'm sorry. I do not go to a movie theater to look at a big bright screen, but over here in my peripheral vision, I can see someone constantly checking their text messages. Stop doing that. Just put your phone away in your pocket for a couple of hours and enjoy the movie that you paid to come see with other people.
Yeah.
This is that to the next level. It's like I can just, and I've heard about this place. This place is pretty, it gets pretty intense. It's not really, there's no levity to it. You're going to go there and you're probably, if you're thinking you're going to go there to have a good time, you're not. It's there so that you can learn about what happened in this very dark time in history. It's very serious, very somber. And, unfortunately, like we were talking about earlier this evening about how they determine what makes a Pokestop or a gym, I don't blame the Pokemon Company for, not being, they didn't just say, oh, yeah, the Holocaust Museum, let's put 3 stops there. Pretty sure that's not what happened. And it's good that even though the game is technically still in beta, they already have a process for getting inappropriate stops removed.
Yeah, because the people that helped create this game, Niantic, um, I imagine a lot of people don't know this, but they also created a type of puzzle game called Ingress, which kind of acted the same way as Pokemon Go does. It was a puzzle game where you would go to different monuments in different places around the world, and you would solve puzzles, and you could solve puzzles with other people. It was kind of like it did what Pokemon did, but did it first. And from what I heard, it was fairly popular for a while. A lot of people played it. I thought about playing it, but I don't think I had a car back then, and there weren't a lot of like really well-known areas or artifacts or anything near my place. So I was like, I'm not gonna bother getting that.
Puzzles
Um,
aren't worth it, but Pokemon are.
yeah, and something that's something that's kind of cool is that um, I think in Ingress you were able to create places where other people could solve puzzles. I think you could like make puzzles your own, and you could place them uh, near other areas, or you could request that puzzles be put in a certain area if you didn't live near anything like the St. Louis Arch or like the Statue of Liberty or like a museum or something. You could request for something to be placed there. Um, and Niantic for Pokemon Go, they decided that let's just use the same places we used in Ingress in Pokemon Go, which the majority of them are pretty much okay. And some of them are even like really cool. Like you have a Pokestop. Like there's nothing around your neighborhood, but at the very entrance of your neighborhood, there's a Pokestop, which is that's cool.
It's great because it refills all the time. Like
Yeah,
the first day that I used, it was weird though. The first day that I used it, or I used it once. I think I went somewhere, and then on the way back, it wasn't there anymore. And I thought, oh great, you can only use one Pokestop one time. But it was there the next day, and then I took a walk the other night and was collecting Pokemon, and I actually walked down to the end of the block, walked back, and it had replenished. So apparently you can use it a lot. I don't know what happened that one day, maybe a server issue, but
yeah. Because I think they refill every 5 minutes.
hmm,
It's like every 5 minutes or so. Um,
you could have a blast downtown.
yes, I have been downtown, and it's like 4 or 5 Pokestops every time you cross the street. It's just you just get more and more. I got 109 Pokeballs in like 2 hours, which is crazy because I've spent $20 on like 200.
Well, that and you can only each stop only bears like depending on how many you have, you can get as few as like two.
Yeah, and also you can lay down Pokemon lures and get stuff. But yeah. So it's not like Niantic was thinking, hey, uh, yeah, right there in the Holocaust Museum. That can be like, what, you think one? No, one's not good enough. Two? No, 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 no. We should three. Yeah, three. That's good. Yeah, no. Chances are that someone who was playing Ingress was in there, and it may have been someone young and was just, I don't know. I don't want to say because it sounds disrespectful, but they may have been bored in there just because being a young person and knowing even younger people, just like the mindset that most people have that are younger, like teenagers and preteens, they're kind of the word I'm looking for.
They have a hard time having their attention held. Short
That
short attention span.
short attention spans, and uh, that's another thing. Like we've used it before with like violence in video games. You get like
Oh, desensitized.
desensitized. Yeah. A lot of kids get desensitized, and in their minds they're like, "Oh, that happened like 80 years ago." They don't realize that 80 years ago really isn't that long,
In the grand
especially for
scheme of
something like
scheme,
that.
yeah.
And yeah, like I'm sure that even people my age or like a little bit older than me or a little bit younger than me even went in there and like did stuff like that. But There are definitely places to play, fun games like Pokemon Go, and there are definitely places where you just shouldn't. And I feel like the museum where a mass genocide, it talks about something close to a mass genocide took place, and it's pretty much a giant memorial. I feel like that's not the place to catch Pidgeys and everything.
No.
And I'm not entirely sure. Uh, I don't know if this is a rumor or if this is a fact or not, but I've seen a picture of someone who caught a gasoline, and they said that it was at the Nazi memorial in the museum. So, as
Gas,
if playing Pokemon Go in there wasn't bad enough, someone actually took a picture of that Pokemon there.
which is a ghost Pokemon, in case you don't know.
Oh, no, not ghastly, I meant coughing.
Oh, coughing.
Yeah.
Known for dispelling poison gas.
Yeah, it's a smiling ball with a poison symbol on it. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's even worse.
yeah,
That's much worse. But, honestly, like I didn't expect them to have something like this in place. I just figured they would be like, no, every single Pokestop and gym is appropriate. I've actually seen two gyms right next to each other. And one of them is like an apartment complex. That's a gym.
yeah,
So, yeah, sometimes it doesn't make sense. And there's some places I've been to, I'm like, why isn't this a stop? Why is this a stop?
yeah,
But luckily, they've had enough foresight to basically be like, let's have an appeal system to have people request like, hey, like that one guy where his house was a gym. Can you take my address off your list for Pokemon gyms? It's
yeah. Especially with stories of people like mugging other people because of like dropping
yeah,
Pokemon lures and stuff. Like, it's a really fun game, but there's a lot of things that can happen that are dangerous with this that people really need to be aware of and be more responsible about.
right.
And thankfully, Niantic is they're being completely reasonable about everything. They're looking into getting rid of that. They have it to where you can get rid of things if you don't think that it's desirable to have that outside of your house or at your house or anywhere. I've also been told that, or I've seen that uh, they're going to make it to where if you do want a Pokestop and you're just a Pokemon enthusiast, you can actually request a Pokemon stop or a gym at a place near you.
Hmm.
So hopefully they will learn from this mistake and they'll look at people's suggestions and see if this is going to affect someone's life or if this is an appropriate location. But this does also help people because like where I live, there's a I can see a Pokemon gym and I can see a few Pokemon stops, but I'm gonna have to drive over there.
Hmm.
And there's some days where like like I've said, I'll go downtown and I'll just have a blast for like 5 hours playing down there. But then there are other times where just like I want to do other things, but like if I'm in a lobby playing Overwatch, waiting for people, like a lot of people just waiting for things, they just pull out their phone and they just play apps.
Yeah,
I want to at least have something there. So
yeah. And I think they even added the system to request a stop or a gym based on a lot of people who live in rural areas that don't have anything around. It's probably mostly for them. But I'm going to keep harping that this game is still in beta because no one has mentioned it. Like all the stories that I've been reading about Go, no one has mentioned it. And it's like, I just noticed that, oh, this is version 0.4.2. That's a beta version. Until you get a 1, when it becomes like 1 point whatever, that's when it's the official release. So, but for a game that's in beta, there's certainly a lot of people playing it.
oh yeah.